In this video, I'll show you the various types of inputs, including expressions, tables, and folders. We'll also talk about some options and settings over here, and finally finish up with how you can share your graph. Starting with inputs, there's several kinds of inputs here. The ones that I'll use the most are expressions, which are already showing up here, and I can actually click down and create a whole bunch of these if needed, or tables or folders. I like to start with a folder to organize my information. Within this folder, let's just try some linear tools. Now, an example of using some linear tools with graphing would be looking at where two equations intersect. For example, 3x minus 6y equals 10, and another linear equation here. These two intersect here at some kind of rational point, and I can export that down here to the expression list and add a label pretty easily. All of these are just expression inputs. I'm going to nest this point in here and close that up, and then I can toggle that folder to see if I want that graph or not. Then you can continue adding various folders to organize your work in this kind of way. The next thing that you might use is this edit list, which is sort of some settings. It brings up options where you can click on the side here and toggle the styles and thickness and opacity there. Right now these are all turned off because they're tied to that folder, but you can also turn off individual points. This one, it will keep the label whether or not that is being graphed. It's only when you completely turn off the entire folder that it will take away that label as well. There's also graphing options over here with the graph setting. I'm going to talk about graph settings in the next video with some more specific examples. But the most basic things we can do is add labels, maybe toggle the grid lines, some things like that. The next video I'll talk more on the scaling of these axes. If you find that you've accidentally zoomed in or out, this can happen. It can be hard to get it exactly where you want it. That's why they have this home button to just square it up from -10 to 10. And now it's only going to show as much of that vertical window as it can to keep this scaled the same way with the X and Y axes. And the last thing that you might need to do with your Desmos graph would be save it and share it. It will allow you to share it if you haven't saved it. This creates a link that will remain permanent to this specific graph, so anyone else can open it, see the inputs, make changes, and create their own copy or save. This is always preferred using a link because images are not going to be interactive for the user. And you can also save it. I recommend logging in, connecting a Gmail or your school account, and then you can save this graph. And it will add it to your list of all your saved graphs.